Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Nintendidn't So We Did podcast. Animal Crossing Small Town Big City is a completely conceptualized game that I have created for you to get you hyped for what the next Animal Crossing game could be. I'm joined here with my cat, Rue. Hello, sweetie. And I am so excited to be here on episode 2 of the podcast. Last time we talked about the introduction and how our game would be introduced, kind of similar to past games, and my why about why I am creating this game and why I think that my worldview kind of influences how I would create a game. I want to thank you guys for your support on the last 2 videos. It's just been immensely awesome to just talk about something that I'm interested for a half hour, as I'm sure whatever you're passionate about, you could talk on and on and on for hours. That's why I had to create this document, because I had so many thoughts and I just needed to get it out on paper and for the world to see. And so if you want access to this document, you can check it out at any time. I promise there's no viruses or anything included with that. Just check out that document on Google Docs. It is located in the show notes or the description of this podcast, and you can access those and kind of follow along with me and see some of the ideas conceptualized. There's only going to be things that are located in this document that only you can see if you're a viewer, so make sure you check it out. All right, let's kind of recap where we were last time and talk about how the town square will progress. So the town square is the centerpiece of your town. It's not necessarily located at the center, though. I want to be clear about that. It can be located, like I said before, any eligible space in the town if it's first level. This is where your small businesses are all located. So they're not scattered around. They're all centralized in one location. So you have a one-stop shop for everything that you're going to need. These are permanent buildings, and they're turned 45 degrees. They appear isometrically as a callback to Animal Crossing on the GameCube. The post office was 45 degrees. Nook's Cranny was. The police office was. So it's a really cool callback to that. And we're bringing back some old favorites as well as some new ones. So stick around to the middle of the podcast where we talk about that, and then we're going to be closing with some awesome new information. So there are 16 possible combinations and orders that the shops can appear in. So each save file is going to be slightly different. Your shops may be located in different patterns. It gives you an individuality, even though you might not be able to change certain things about the town. You cannot place items, patterns, or other houses or just anything within the town square, but there will be some upgrades that you can do instead. All right, let's talk about the shops. Nook's Cranny convenience store. Nook's Cranny has been in every single Animal Crossing game, but it always started as this little shack with a tin roof and wood paneling on the outside, and the owners are Timmy and Tommy Nook. Tom Nook is not located in this building, similar to New Horizons. What do they carry at this shop? Tools, furniture, wallpaper and flooring, medicine, and more. It's pretty similar to the past. Now let's talk about some upgrades that you can get to this shop. The first upgrade, which comes from spending over 100k bells at the shop, is called Nook's Corner. And then the second upgrade, it's going to be called Nook Mart. This is what happens when you upgrade to Nook's Corner, firstly. So that first upgrade, you got to spend those 10,000 K bells. And talk to Councilman Tom Nook when he visits your town and you get a big city sponsorship. So this is the first clue as to Tom Nook's role in this game. And I'll just tell you, he does not live in town as in the past. The last and final upgrade is going to be Nookling Depot. Home Depot reference, guys. You got to spend 1,000,000 bells. So this is a pretty hefty thing to do. And of course, Nook Mart isn't your only destination for getting these items. And so it's going to take some time if you really want Nookling Depot to be in your town. This is promoting longevity of the game. If New Horizons had an update that you had to spend 1,000,000 bells at the store, then people would play the game longer and spend more bells in the game. It would give it more of a purpose. However, it only has a single upgrade, which is crazy. So we need to give Tom Nook's store 2 extra upgrades now, all the way up to Nookling Depot. Now, the Nook Emporium, or something along the lines of that, is like this beautiful mall-like store. There's actually going to be something like that in the big city. More on that in a future video. But what does this store buy from you? All furniture and resource items, including all of your trading items, not including shirts, like clothing. You have to go to these each individual stores, and if you want to sell these items, you need to go directly to the store that correlates with those items. They're not going to buy fruit. Tom Nook's not going to buy fruit anymore. Tom Nook's not going to buy off your Able Sisters shirts or your clothes that a villager gives you that you never would want. Like, why do I want a pink full body suit that completely... I don't want that. No, you got to go to the individual shops for that one in this game. The next shop is the Able Sisters. The Able Sisters clothing shop has been also a staple for the Animal Crossing games. It started out really small. The clothes were literally on the floor in population growing for the GameCube, and then the store just kept building up. And now in New Horizons, it's even bigger. But we're getting back to our grassroots here, and the store is going to be very small. It's owned by Sable and Mabel, just like always, and it carries clothing, accessories, bags, craft supplies, and tent cloth upgrades. Those are 2 new things that we are introducing in this game. But this is where you change the tent cloth of the exterior of your tent. Now, what kind of upgrades can you get with Able Sisters? So instead of calling it something new, it's going to be called Able Sisters again. This is phase 2. If you spend 100k bells at the shop, then they'll upgrade to phase 2. And that phase will have more things available for you and just more space for things to be displayed. Then the final upgrade, they're only getting one, major upgrade name change. I call it Crafty Claws. And this is an upgrade to Phase 2 after you talk to their sister, LaBelle, in the big city and get her sponsorship. But what do they buy from you? All clothing and accessories and craft items. So you can buy craft supplies and make craft items that increase the value of them because they are something that you craft. Unlockable services. A pattern QR scanner. This will only be available in Phase 3 of this shop. So it's going to take a while to scan custom QRs into the game when it comes to clothing patterns. However, I think it's okay. You can scan in QR codes of pathing designs. In Animal Crossing New Leaf, there was a shop called Retail, and it was owned by Reese and Cyrus. They later went on to be featured at Harv's little island that he has. And they appeared there once again. You can edit the color of certain items. And in this game, we have a whole brand new vibe for what this shop can be and will be. So think about like a pawn shop or a curio shop. I don't know if you played Webkins back in the day, but welcome to the curio shop. That guy, like the curios guy. Anyway, I call it Restore, and it's a curio shop. What does it carry? Vintage items and restored relics. I can't wait to talk about relics, guys. It's such a cool concept. But Restore, it's a reference to retail, and we're calling it Restore because what they can do in the store is restore items. Now, the upgrades include Restore Phase 2, which very similarly spending 100k bells there. So they're all very similarly unlocked. And then its second and only real name change upgrade is called Revive. Now, Lucria is a new NPC, the son of Reese and Cyrus. They've had a son all along, and they just never told you about it. His visual appearance is actually a mixture between his 2 parents. So more on Lucria in the future. Default services include restoring a relic, displaying a furniture item to resell to animal villagers for a profit. So this is very similar to how retail was handled in the future, or the auction back in City Folk. So this will work very similar to the auction and the retail. You're able to display your furniture items or things that you've created or crafted, and you can allow villagers to buy them. Whether they come in the store and you kind of convince them to, or it can happen just organically. The next time you visit the shops, they'll tell you, hey, your item sold for this amount of money. Here is your earnings. Something like that. And then unlockable services is being able to change colors of any furniture or crafted items. So unfortunately, this will be something that will have to be unlocked for this game because the main feature for the shop is for reselling items to villagers for a profit and restoring what I like to call relics. I want to talk about relics right now. I can't yet though. But now I get to talk about something completely brand new, a new shop that I've added to this game, and I call it the Hole in the Wall restaurant. So the term hole in the wall is basically describing a place that it's a mom and pop store. It is a small little hole in the wall connected to some building, and you would never know it was there unless you visited it yourself. In a lot of those little hole in the wall places, especially in a place like New York City, for example, or in a small town, they have these great finds or this really great food that you would have never known about because it's not on the map, it's not popular. I call it hole in the wall restaurant. And not only that, but who lives in a hole in the wall in all the cartoons? Mice. And so it's a double reference. The NPCs that preside here and own this restaurant, I call Reggie and Feta. Now, Reggie is a rat. This is also a triple reference because Ratatouille, oh my gosh, we could talk about Ratatouille on this show forever. One of my favorite movies, Ratatouille. I love to cook, bake, all the things. And that movie is just such a beautiful movie, and it's also inspirational with the phrase, anyone can cook, even a rat. And so Reggie is going to be the main chef. He's an Italian rat with a mustache, and he is a reference as well. So it's 4 references in one to Reggie from Nintendo's past. The name Reggie also is a reference to Parmigiano Reggiano if you're Italian. It's a reference to Reggie from Nintendo, Parmesan, and Feta is a cute name, and it's a reference to feta cheese, a Greek cheese. And if you didn't know, a lot of diners are actually owned by Greeks. And so it's cool. It's like a million references all in one, very carefully thought through. The names were very carefully thought through. Hole in the Wall restaurant. I'm so excited to talk about this. So what does this restaurant carry? It carries food items and cooking and baking recipes. So this is a place where you can go to get new food items that have already been crafted for you. You can just go and have a little bite at the restaurant just for an interactability. If you have some friends over your town, or even the animal villagers can appear there, and there can be some great interactions there. This is a replacement, and yes, I say replacement, for the roost in your town. How, villagers or NPCs can show up there. This is a social environment exclusively, but you can get some items, and this is where you sell fruits and other things. So here are the upgrades. We got a phase 2 of Hole in the Wall, and that's, if you guessed it, you spend over 100k bells there. This one might be a little hard to do because the food is a little bit on the cheaper side. You're not buying massive furniture, but there are some other things that you can buy, including seeds and vegetables that you can plant in the ground for different, crops that you want to grow in your town, if you will. They introduced crops in New Horizons. I thought it was a great addition. But really what you want to do is I really just want to expand cooking and also baking recipes. And then its final upgrade, it's only got one, but I call it the Ratstaurant. Learn over 100 cooking and baking recipes personally. And then what Reggie's going to do is the shop is going to close down, and Reggie's going to go to take some gourmet cooking lessons with Chef Franklin in the big city. And just as a spoiler alert, you can do this too. All right, our default services here. It's just a social atmosphere. There's nothing crazy, but there is unlockable services, and you can get a job there similar to how you could in the Roost in Animal Crossing New Leaf. So this is going to provide a cool mini game and employment opportunity in the town as you progress and as they get to know you a little bit more. But as a reminder, all 4 of these shops that I just mentioned are all starting at a beat down, run down state, and eventually will be upgraded and look amazing, and will grow in size too. Not much, but the interior will look bigger, even though the exterior might still look a little bit small. So those are the 4 shops for you. You've got 4 shops on the bottom of the town square, and then at the top you have your town hall. It's making a comeback from all the games up into New Horizons. We missed the town hall, guys. At the top of every plaza is the symmetrical building, which contains the mayoral and post office. This is accessible anytime after the intro, like we talked about in last podcast. Who are the owners? Tortimer is the mayor, Isabel is the mayor's assistant, and also the potential mayor. And it even says another name there. Check out the document for whose name is on there. Then, also, for the post office, we have Pelly and Phyllis making a return, which I'm sure some of you are very happy about, as well as Pete, who is the mail carrier. What is the default services that they offer? Public works projects, mail delivery, town tune and town flag, residential complaints, the welcoming town assessment. This is like your perfect town rating sort of thing for the game. Event sign-up sheets. So in this game, you're actually going to be able to choose when certain events happen, as well as if you'll be attending them. Because if you don't choose to attend, that event may not even happen. Pretty cool detail there. And the bulletin board is now located inside, no longer outside to view. What are some unlockable services? The mayoral role that I teased earlier, a change in the town name, construction and moving permits, an office space. More on that. Check out the document. Newspaper. And it's also going to offer some employment and mini games to go along with that employment. So a lot going on. This is the center of public affairs. And finally, when it comes to this town square, let's talk about the centerpiece, which is located right in front of the town hall, and that's the fountain. This is very similar to the fountain that was located, or it was a well in Japanese version of Dobutsu no Mori. It was a little fountain or well. And here is where the town events would happen. So you had like a sports day that you could attend, and they would like run around this little landmark. So basically this was like the hub for your village, if you will. So the fountain itself is that center of the hub. The fountain is an upgradable fixture in the front of the town hall building. This is the center of town affairs and community. The mayor erected this fountain as a symbol of peace between animals and humans. As the town beautifies, the fountain will also undergo changes. At first, the fountain won't flow with water, symbolizing the broken relationship between two parties. There's a meaningful, deep story. We've seen that humans have all left to go to the big city to accumulate wealth and status and, godlike power. But the animals are back in town and they're struggling. And there's a brokenness between the relationship with the humans that used to coexist with these animals and the animal villagers that were back in that small town. There's been some hurt there, and so you probably got to guess. Some of them are going to be angry at you when they see you at first. Some of them are going to be sad and look at the town and be like, this used to be so awesome in its glory days when we used to coexist. So the fountain itself is going to be a symbol of the mending relationship between humans and villagers within this small town. I think that's so sweet and so beautiful. Just a beautiful underlying story for this game. As you collaborate and meet new neighbors, the fountain will slowly begin to undergo some phases too. And you don't have to do these phases. These will happen automatically as you progress in the game. And then if you want to check out the document for those phases, I'm not going to tease them for you, but there's some really cool stuff that's going to happen with that. Animal villagers will often be seen walking around the town square. They might even throw some bells into the fountain. You can wish on the fountain, which may come in handy one day as well. This becomes the life of the holidays, the center of the holidays in the game. Decoration of the town square, not just the building and not just the resident services, but the whole town square is decorated with sometimes lights, banners, flags, or temporary decorations. They will be featured here. Holiday NPCs will be way easier to find. They're not just wandering randomly in your town, but they will stay in the boundaries of the town square in this game. Or maybe they'll even perch right in front of the fountain. And I can tell you that KK Slider also loves to do concerts while sitting on this fountain. All right, I think that's enough information today, but I hope this information and my excitement for all these new features and returning features and ideas that I have mulling around in my head that I've got to share with you today, I hope this excites you for what Animal Crossing 6 or Animal Crossing for the Switch 2 could be. And I hope this just excites you as we're going through quite a drought with no Animal Crossing news for probably a really long time. So I'm hoping you're enjoying these podcasts overall. In the next one, we're going to be talking about town landmarks, new things that you could expect to enjoy in the town, including the boat dock, as well as the vast ocean, the train station, the road, and all the landmarks that you could expect to find in the town. Thank you for watching or listening with me today. This has been the Nintendidn't, So We Did podcast. Check it out on YouTube or on Spotify. And make sure you subscribe to our channel or follow us on Spotify if you liked this video today. You have a great day, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.